Hey everyone, this is Lois Banks coming to you from the Lois Banks Ministry. Today is August the 8th, 2020. And this message is going to focus in on a question that I asked the Lord about the plague and people's behaviors in America toward the plague. And then a prophetic word God spoke to me this morning as I woke up. So my first question to God was, I said, God, why are people playing with the plague? And I asked God that because I have been reading in the news where churches in America were having drive-in church services in some places where people would get out their car and then they wouldn't be inside the church, but they would be gathered together. Nobody's is 6 feet apart. People aren't wearing a mask, and they were calling themselves, having the right to worship God while the plague was being spread amongst the people in the congregation, and people were getting sick and dying. I'm reading this article and it didn't make any sense to me at all, because God is not into confusion and he's not into killing his people. So then I read another article where people were in a Christian nursing home setting, were exposed to the plague, and people were dying. Does God love the elderly in the nursing home setting? Of course he does. The plague is airborne. So there are certain precautions that have to be put in place when something is airborne. It's not a normal situation. It has nothing to do with God loving you or hating you. It has something to do with protecting yourself from the plague. And so there are certain protocols that have to be set in place for protection. And then I kept reading these articles about people, a pastor who passed away, and he was pastoring out in a rural area. So the article was focused on rural churches not being exempt from the pandemic. And so, it led me to ask God this question: God, why are people playing with the plague? And this is what God spoke back to my spirit. He said, people don't care about life, Lois. And that sunk in my spirit. I mean, I'm a nurse. So for over 26 years, I've been nursing, and I deal with life and death situations with patients. I mean, I'm on the administrative side of nursing now, but for over 20 years, I was a nurse on the floor. I dealt with a lot of patients. And life is precious. It's a gift from God. It's nothing to play with. It's to be protected. It's precious. It's a gift from God. And we're not to take life for granted. We're not to play around with it. We're not to take risk with our life. You know what I'm saying? And when I heard God say that back to my spirit, I said, okay, people are taking life for granted. They don't care about life. And it makes sense now why everybody's doing all of these wacko crazy behaviors. I mean, I'm talking about wacko crazy to me. Don't make any sense to me at all. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with everybody. And then the second thing is, later on I went to sleep, and God is still dealing with me on that first question that I asked. And when I woke up out of my sleep early in the morning, God spoke Psalms 91 verse 7 in my spirit, which reads, 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you, and don't you go near the plague. Bam. God been saying that to me the whole time. He already told me when the plague first hit America. He says, do not be around it. Stay away from the crowds. And during the height of the pandemic, I had to put on my hazmat suit, my goggles. I wasn't playing, y'all. I had my gloves on. I wasn't playing because that stuff is airborne. That plague gets in your eyes, your ears, your nose, and your mouth. You got to stay all covered up. Y'all hear me? And I've been saying that on my social media platform. So yeah, God said the plague ain't gonna come near me, and don't I go? He told me don't go near the plague. Hello, somebody. That is a wisdom of God. That should be common sense knowledge for every thinking person. You don't go near the plague. Don't go near it. And to be near the plague is to be near crowds of people. Okay? So I just wanted to obey God. I just wanted to share that with you. As for me and my family, we're going to serve God with intelligence. We're going to serve God with wisdom. And we're going to value our life, and we're going to protect our life because it is a precious, precious gift from God. This is Lois Banks coming to you from the Lois Banks Ministry.